All right, let's start. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our first webinar, which topic today will be Chile's project lifecycle, keeping clients in the loop. And this is hosted by me, Kristaps, and my colleague, Edgars. What's in today's agenda? I will start off with the presentation of how we deal with the clients before a project has started. We'll discuss more about the meetings, estimations, timeline, and agreements. And then Edgars will be talking about the process, what happens after the project has been started. So how we onboard the client, our workflow, and delivery. And afterwards, we will have a Q&A session where we'll be able to answer your questions if there will be any. But if you're shy, you can also reach out to us through LinkedIn. So where you found this webinar, you will be able to also get in touch with us directly, and we can also help you with any kinds of questions. Just a side note, wanted to say that and remind that this meeting is being recorded. This is for our YouTube channel. We will be able to upload this a bit later. This is for the people that could not join right now, so they will be able to listen to it whenever they have time. So I think I will start with a bit of agenda for my presentation, where I will be discussing about the key things, what are the key things for us to evaluate the project, and what we offer to help customer make the decision to go with us. Also about our approach to estimate the project, and what things we consider while doing the estimates, and also slightly we'll discuss about why forming an MVP is good for the product. Then we'll follow with the plan. How do we do the project timeline? What are the key things to start with? And we'll finish up with some legal side of things, what kind of agreements you can expect to sign. So how it starts? Usually it's all starts with a meeting, either online or offline. In the meeting, we get to know more about the business and the product customer is willing to build or maintain. By maintaining, I mean customers who have already established their product in the app stores and are willing to give us the project to take over from the technical side. But in most of the cases, product is not yet created, or they have only their website, but there is an interest for a mobile app to increase the exposure online. So in the meeting, the main things we try to clarify are the business requirements, which is a vision of what's the desired goal, the current reach, main audience or target group, and of course, key features that are planned for the product. The more specifics we get, usually the better the outcome is. It helps us to get more familiar with the technical stack and requirements before we provide an estimate, allowing us to propose the best out of it. Then also planned budget and resources is a thing that we need to clarify, as we provide a full stack of development as well as great design and app store optimization services. It's necessary to clarify which resources you are the most interested in. Chile has a great portfolio of products created totally from scratch, with backend being developed on our side, as well as products where only designs and mobile front-end development has been utilized, and of course cases where the customer comes with their own designs and has an in-house backend team, which also works fine for us. So depending on the required resources, we involve our departments in the estimation and scoping processes. And lastly, and to ensure that the ideas and information are protected, we sign an NDA, which is short for non-disclosure agreement, which is meant for establishing a confidential partnership between both parties. So there are some additionals. if the cases on our portfolio, which you can find on our website, are not suitable for your business, we offer to provide a design concept, which helps to visualize our idea of your product, take into account clients' business requirements. After a deep market and competitor analysis, we provide a concept for 5 to 6 screens of the main app features to see if our vision aligns with the client, making it a great statement why to choose to work with us. And also, there are situations where the client comes with an existing app. So in that case, we can offer to perform a code audit, which helps to analyze the code quality and evaluate if the current architecture is sufficient to continue with and propose what to improve. And then the same goes with the design review. We offer to evaluate the UI UX part of the app, proposing how to improve it later on. But it's good time to know that this is not a free of charge activity, as all of it requires a lot of research and time to create. So what comes next? This is the point when the scoping comes in. With all of the data we've been provided, including requirements, goals, and resources, we create a proposal for the MVP. More about MVP on the next slide. Yeah, we create a proposal offering a plan of how we see the product being developed and delivered. We start by creating a detailed list of product features split by respective departments and provide ballpark estimates for each item, leaving additional comments to describe the approach or ask extra questions in case if something is not clear. The more data and input we get from the client, the easier it is to get the estimates right. For example, if the API is already done, it's much easier to predict how the UI should be built, as well as how it's expected to work on the app side. So yeah, and the estimates are being made by a project manager and the respective person from each department. Like in design estimates will participate not only the project manager, but also a designer, and then the same goes with our mobile developers and backend developers as well. While working on the list, we focus on finding the common components for the product. Again, an example, if a feature for a search is needed in multiple places throughout the app, we count it as a reusable component, which means that the core is there. So it's much simpler to adjust the conditions for search functionality elsewhere in the app. And yeah, more about the MVP itself. So the MVP is a short for minimum viable product. Maybe some of you have already heard about it. So the purpose for it is to provide a low risk testing ground before you invest thousands into a product before it's ready to sell. In short, it means creating a plan to get the app to stores as soon as possible, and then using like user traffic, input, feedback to generate next main priorities to add in the next app updates. It requires main customer pain point collecting, quite a lot of market research, development, and then testing to launch the MVP. But the main benefits of it are that you launch the product much faster, saving quite a lot of costs. And after the user's feedback, you are able to set priorities for upcoming releases and do them step by step, allowing your customers to get familiar with the product and see how it expands gradually. And after the MVP has been formed, the project timeline creation comes next. So for the timeline creation, we use Gantt charts. Once the first scope is aligned, we create a schedule for the features to arrive in your app's test version. Based on the given estimates and functionality, we provide a timeline that helps our clients to follow project's progress and also the delivery plan. Each department has their own tasks. So our main goal is to plan it as efficient as possible. Just a quick example, once designs are closing the end phase, we plan that the app score development can be started earlier. So once the designs for a certain feature are done, developers don't have to wait, and they can start, for example, with authorization flow. And it saves quite a lot of time and also makes the project much more efficient to deliver. Then, yeah, we share the estimates, the timeline with the client, align it, and then we can ramp up the testing as soon as possible. And the final stage before the development of the product starts is the legal part. So there are two types of agreements we sign. So the first one is dedicated resources agreement, which is a binding agreement that will safeguard your project and guarantee high quality service delivery based on the rates that we have agreed upon. And SLA, which is short for service level agreement, which defines standards for support, outlining how potential problems are resolved after the app or product has been published to stores. Thank you for listening. This was all from me. But what happens after this, Edgars will tell more about in his next topic about the process.
Yes, thank you, Kristaps, for that thrilling presentation. I'm going to take over. Yes, hello, I'm Edgars. As Kristaps already introduced me in the start, I'm also a project manager here at Chile. I'm going to tell you about all the things that happens after the agreements have signed and the client wants to start the project, and we already have the resources available to, well, start it. In general, I'm going to talk about the digital workplace setup, workspace setup, design development, app launch, pretty much everything that happens in between and after the launch. At the start, it starts with team composition. You can't start a project if you don't have a team. In this specific case, most of the time, a project manager already will be assigned to this project when the estimates are start being given, when the requirements are given by the client, and the respected developer or designer also most likely will be the one that put the estimates for the project. In some special cases, also, if the deadlines are burning or the client requests, we also put additional designers, developers, QAs, anything that requires for the project needs, backend developers. Pretty much, we just, at this stage, have to make sure that everyone's aligned and we have enough resources to put the project on the start. I'll just say that. Initially, we start with Jira and Confluence setup. Jira setup means that everything's in the workflow, everything's correct with workflows, permissions, structure, so that all the tickets can go in the right direction. All the clients can see the progress that we are doing. All the project colleagues, let's say, have everything they need to make the process available. And the Confluence setup is one of the most required in this step, actually, because Confluence will have all the necessary information for the project to start, continue, finish, everything in between, because Confluence will have the test accounts for all the special cases, Gantt charts, meeting notes, feature description, pretty much any information that would be required to any of the team members, the client, and this is like the place for the one source of truth. If there's any conflict between anyone in the team, you can just go back and check the file. This is the place that everything goes, like all the documentation, and kind of pretty important. And also about Jira Setup, the topic also was how to keep the client in loop. We pretty much are very see-through company, and the client also has the access to our Jira board. That means that the client will be able to see what task is being done at what moment, what estimates are put there, what's planned for the next steps. And yeah, pretty much we want to make sure that everyone knows what's happening at all the time, not only our team members, but also the client, so everyone's happy. Once that is done, we start with task creation. Pretty much all of this is set based on the requirements from the client. We start with design tasks, development tasks, start with creating epics, core tasks, time logging, stuff like that. In general, everything that happens in the start is mostly like a setup, because the main tasks follow after that. But in general, we make sure that we know what we have to do in the set amount of time. We do sprint plannings, and sprint is an interval of time, 1 to 2 weeks, that we know which tasks have to be done in this period of time. And after this period would be 1 week, 2 weeks, in a few edge case scenarios even longer. We make retrospectives and see how did we do in this case. And also in these periods, we set up also meetings with clients. So pretty much all the clients know that they can set up as many meetings as they want. in ideal scenario, it would be at least once a week when the project starts for everything to be aligned. But going forward, this means once a week, bi-weekly, once a month, mostly based on client requirements. We can do it like even daily if client needs, but it's like a waste of resources at that point. Moving forward, the design process. Initially, we discussed with client his vision of the app, create wireframes, prototypes. This also starts to happen before all the agreements are signed, before the process starts. But in this step, we dig deeper in the project, what has to be done, and create more than just 5 screens. But we have to know what's the ideal state of the app. We want to make sure that everything goes as smooth as possible. If the app will be about fintech, we try to be more modern, something like technology based. Even make sure the colors are super techy, let's say. If the app is about relaxation, meditation, we make sure the color scheme is also very light. We just make sure the process of design fits the project. I just said that. And we make also the calls with the client, and the client says approves or declines, want to make any change to this design. We make sure that in this process, we make the basis of what we can move on forward. But of course, the client can make any request to make any changes when he wants. But mostly this process, we want to make sure that we have basis on what to move forward from. Next up, development process. Mainly, this also can start before designs even are done before, because there's app core setup, which means CI/CD, Firebase, actually the GitHub repository, stuff like that. And usually takes about 3 days for developer to set this up. And this is why it even doesn't need a design to be ready, so the developer has any time to start this. Beginning of this process always a bit stressful for PM, as need to make sure that there are no blockers and everything runs smoothly. So when the developer finishes with app core, he can already take finished design flows, start working on them. There are also cases, more than enough cases, when the API is not ready from backend, and the developer can't fully complete a task, a flow, whatever. And might be a blocker, but in general, in these kind of situations, if client agrees, everything's mostly seen through. We try to do the UI that would be agreed upon, and when the API is finally fixed, arrives, or whatever, we then just add it to the development scope. This is just for to have less blockers for the progress, because we have allocated the resource for the project. We have allocated the designer that will be on the project for at least a month or 2, the designer, developer the same. We want just to make sure that everything runs as smoothly as possible. When the development process mostly has already begun and is going well, we switch up to QA, quality assurance process, which means that a tester will go and check how everything works. Initially, we have to make sure that onboarding is done, that user can actually log in, sometimes even register. Sometimes it's a web view, but just it's case by case. But need to make sure the tester has enough tasks ready that he can check the whole flow, because technically, yes, a tester can also check screen by screen by screen, also just UI tasks. But in general, we try to make sure that we don't waste resources or client's time, and make sure that he tests as much as possible without any blockers. So if there's going to be just one screen available, it won't be super good. We make sure that he can test the whole flow. But we try to make as much coverage possible, because we don't have just one phone in the world. We have iOS, Android, and even Android has multiple phones. We have multiple test devices in-house, also tablets, stuff like that. Sometimes QS sit with more than 5 phones at his head table, just check one specific feature across everything at once. For Flutter apps, we also are using a Flutter debug view, which is one of our new products made by one of our best, if not the best, Flutter developers, Max in Spain, and also Kristaps helped drastically in this thing. So yeah, that's the thing that we use and also provide. And once that is done, we switch to internal testing. This is more when everything's done from our side and is close to finishing the release. we also give the chance the client to perform the internal testing. He has to make sure that the app really is ready for the release, and we can move forward. It also goes case by case, because if client really needs, he can just start also testing from day one. He can get any test builds through Firebase or any other possibility, even when he wants. Like it's his product, he wants to test it, go forward. But it's not optimal because we don't have like a full flow finish. But hey, why not? Yeah, typically it just happens before the release. Before the release, there's still like a lot of things to do, like adding assets that are already made much sooner by designer. We can also adjust assets for any region that will be required. For example, if asset had like texts in English, but the application requires to be also for like Thailand, Vietnam, Russia, India, whatever, we can adjust the texts, adjust assets. So every region would have their own assets, just like a nice thing to have. Their case, the client doesn't know what to add for his ad description, keywords, etc. Like fill out this information. Also, for him, we offer also these services just to make sure that app gets released as optimal as possible. Not always these keywords and descriptions are put in like the best possible in best possible solution, but it's not possible because all the time it takes a lot of research to make the keywords and the description and metadata be responsible for your app to be seen much more clearly. But this will be this I will tell you a bit later. But we also provide service to be able to update these things. But pretty much we do everything possible for the app to be released. The main things that the client needs to be fill out, like the KYC flows, because it requires to document his company, and we are not like legally obligated to do it, but we also try to help in these cases as much as possible. And when everything's done, when we put the app on review, and hopefully the app review passes, it's time for release. It's a big day. When the big day comes, sooner or later, it's a magical moment. But have to keep in mind that there won't be millions of users in just like a couple of minutes or days, even if you refresh the page as often as you want. Usually the day is celebrated, but making those numbers rise is just like the beginning of the release, which leads me to my next topic, which is release analysis. When we release the app, it's not the end of our relationship between the client and our company, because we monitor Crashlytics, events, performance SDK, any key things that will be beneficial for the app. They're like 2-week support period for the base services where we check up on the app if no adjustments are required. But this is very fun part of the app that we always encourage the client also to follow analytics too, as we know that this would make this business grow faster. Like if there's a crash, we of course try to fix it. If there are like events that aren't being used, we try to adjust them. Sometimes an event is not actually bad, but it's just not like optimized. Need to push more focus on other different features of the app. Because Firebase Analytics is a very great tool. We really encourage also the clients to follow them through, not just for us for the Crashlytics, but also for your business. It's always great tool for this thing to do. Through Firebase also there are like stuff like A/B testing, which can be done for like if you want to make specific regions, you want to make sure that there are like other features of the app possible, or you want to have a release that only minor majority of your people can see. That this also can be done through A/B testing. But in general, after the release, we follow everything through and see if everything is great. But also this process doesn't take only like 2 weeks. It can take a month, 2-3 months, because events take time to gather up. Users take time to gather up. But in general, in the scope of few months, you will be able to clearly see what is good, what is bad, what needs to be adjusted. And that's about it for the release analysis. But this is also not the end of our relationship between the client and the company, because after everything, there's also support. Based on signed agreements, we offer support. In most cases, that means we are always available in Slack based on urgency. we engage in the requests ASAP, but not just Slack, like in my case, also just like a telephone, email, whatever the client needs. But if there is need to change the color of the button, we check that we check what resources are available, and if developers are already on the other projects, and this is not a burning issue like the color change of a button, then it can take like a week or two. We'll see. It's case by case scenario, but we also always start to discuss with client these possibilities and inform him this is not an urgent matter. Please, can it wait a week or two? But of course, if there is a like groundbreaking bug, crash, or anything else like that would need urgent fix, we try to put developer, designer, or anyone else on the project that is required as soon as possible, in the same day or whatever could be possible. Because our main goal is to make the product as good as possible. We always make the end product as good as possible, as stable, and that also means suggesting new features that come to the market, or there's a need to update something in the App Store to be accordance to the guidelines. For example, Android had to raise the target SDK version to the latest 34th. All the Android projects were all of our Android projects had this done. All the clients were informed, and it wasn't a big deal. But we tried to make everything that would be possible a reality. Also, after some time of the release, we offer also App Store optimization analysis. That means we analyze everything that there is to the app. We try to find the best possible combinations of keyboard descriptions, metadata, etc. for the app in store to be seen as to most of the users, because there are a lot of like kind of hidden things and a lot of requirements that are not clearly set for the App Store and Play Store. But those things help your app to be more like seen. And we have experience with this. We made a lot of updates to a lot of apps with this like support, let's say, and it always works. Just needs, of course, the client agreement to do this. But in general, that's it about from me. Thank you. So, time for our Q&A session. Let's check upon how many of you are online. So, yeah. Does anyone have any questions?
Hi, my name is Lucina. First of all, thank you for the informative presentation, because it's always good to know how the companies approach each project. From the presentation as I got, it seemed like you go through the project step by step, like you finish one part of the project, then you switch to another, and then another. It seems like it's waterfall. But my question is, are you flexible to using other project methodologies like Agile, or your mainly approach is to use waterfall, and that's how you, let's say, complete the project?
Yeah, hello, Sin. Thank you for your question. Technically, maybe I wasn't clear enough yet. I didn't say this, but we're mostly agile. We go everything step by step, and if there's need for any change at any moment, I don't know, like any component needs to be changed, the design, the functionality, something changed from business perspective, we do this. We make changes. We actually have like two sets of like agreements. We have like set price that if client wants for the set price, he just wants this functionality to be done. We give him the estimates. He said, yeah, everything looks good. I want a set price project. Then we give him the invoice. He pays. We do this. And in the end, everything's more or less happy. But we encourage more like our agile agreement. Let's just say that it goes like by hourly rate. And we also give estimates. Everything works the same. But in most cases, there are like these small adjustments always. If they're like unexpected bug, if there's anything that would be need to change, it's much easier through these agile like documents, I just say. So answering your question, yeah, we're mostly actually agile company.
Yeah. Thank you for the answer. I must probably miss that part because I joined a little bit later. I was trying to download the Google Meet, but thank you for the answer.
Any more questions? Don't be shy.
I will have one more question. Although I analyzed the Jira Labs LinkedIn page, and I more or less have a concept, let's say, what you do. I have applied for the junior IT project manager position, and I'm mostly interested. Are you doing only applications, or you're also working on websites, e-commerce? Because that's also important for me to know, just to later do some analysis for myself.
Yeah, thank you for the next question. In general, we mostly focus on apps, but we also do like websites. We have also backend developers. Pretty much we do everything that would be required. Like 90% of our research are towards app development, but we're open pretty much to anything.
Okay, thank you. I worked on one application. It was called what? Croquet, if I'm not mistaken. The application that is like depicted right now in the presentation. I forgot the name.
In the presentation currently, the one we had?
The one was sent for test for QA. I'm sorry, for project manager. I'm sorry, never mind. I forgot the name of the application. And
you mean there's a question about a section in the presentation, or I misheard?
No. And the last here, you see it's depicted the application pages, and that's what we worked on. And I was more interested. That's why I was interested more if you work on this kind of applications, or there are websites as well and e-commerce platforms.
Oh no,
but you answered the question already. Yeah.
Oh, you mean the image in the slide? Actually, this is one of our native in-house apps. It's called the Croquet app that the user can get acquainted and learn how to crochet a lot of things.
Actually,
yeah, I realized it looked cool.
Yeah, but if you check our website, we have also a portfolio, and you can find some cases also for websites. If you're interested, you can look at our
Sorry, your voice is a little bit difficult to hear.
Okay.
We're gonna switch.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I just switched. We're sitting in the same room. What I wanted to say is that, yeah, I just wanted firstly to slightly change what Edgar said. It's not native project. It's actually our almost first project we wrote on Flutter. But yeah, this is one of our I would say internal apps. But yeah, what I wanted to say is about if you go to our website and check our portfolio, you can find also web projects we've done and get familiar with it.
Okay, thank you. I will definitely do.
Yeah, no problem. So are there any other questions?
Not from my end.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I think we can wrap it up. Thanks everybody for joining. I just wanted to know that those who joined slightly later and could not get to the very start of the presentation, as we are recording this webinar, we will upload also this video to our YouTube channel. So if you join slightly later, you will be able to listen it from the beginning and see what you missed. So follow us on social media. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Wish you a good day, and see you on the next webinar.
See you. Bye.